Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about the Fujifilm X-H2S and whether or not you should consider it as a full-time professional video or cinema camera in 2024. Before we get into whether you should consider this as a professional video or cinema camera in 2024, please do me a favor guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers and I would love for you to join this community. So the answer to this question actually depends on what you're filming. You might be doing weddings, you might be doing more commercial work, corporate videos, you might be doing documentaries, and all of that is going to factor in my opinion, whether or not this camera is right for you. The other thing you're going to want to consider is, are you reliant on autofocus? If you are, this camera is probably not for you, and we're going to get into that. If you're shooting things like weddings and commercials, this is a really good camera because you can get that creamy and dreamy footage shooting like 4K 60, even using the open gate option, which lets you use the entirety of the sensor at 6.2K. If you're doing something like documentaries where you need some really good audio, and I'm not saying this camera has bad audio, but it doesn't have like pro XLR inputs like something like a C200, Canon C200 is going to have, or a FS6 is going to have. Those would probably be more of the documentary cameras. This is a glorified B-roll beast for me, so things like weddings and commercials where I'm going to be using mostly music and voiceovers, and then mixing that with the footage. Because the color is so good, it works really well for that. But just make sure that you analyze what you're going to be using it for and then make your decision on your camera. That's the best way to go about that. There have been a lot of complaints about two main things on this camera, one being the autofocus and the firmware updates in 2024 that have attempted to fix the autofocus. Some say that it has, some say that it's made it worse, some say some cameras come with the autofocus working great, others have the complete opposite reaction. So for me personally, I don't use autofocus. I pull focus myself and I shoot almost everything handheld. And when I do need autofocus, I will rely on my Canon R6 Mark II and the R that I'm shooting on now. So autofocus for me is not a big deal, but it might be a big deal for you. So just keep that autofocus thing in mind. The other issue that people are having with this camera, it is prone to overheating, and it's actually even worse whenever you are trying to power multiple things off of a single battery, such as this V-mount battery. And there's actually a creator on YouTube that I follow. He actually fried his camera and had to send it to Fujifilm to be repaired. So you definitely don't want to do that. And I'm going to show you some footage on screen of a commercial that I just finished for a client that was a mid-budget level commercial. And about 5 minutes into this commercial, we had really bad overheating problems with this camera, which was a bummer, especially considering I had just shot 2 weddings on it with no problems. But it turns out that whenever I was powering this monitor, my HDMI transmitter, and the camera by this battery, it was sending too much power to the camera and overheating within 5 minutes. Now, luckily, I troubleshot this on set, on site, without anybody knowing, and basically just ended up using Sony batteries for the monitor and the HDMI transmitter, and it worked fine after that. It's still overheated after about 20 minutes, but since then I've had 0 issues with it, and I will be shooting tomorrow a wedding with this, so hopefully we won't have any issues, but I always bring a backup camera. But yeah, the autofocus and the overheating has definitely been an issue in this camera. Like I said, I've used this on 3 professional shoots now, and when I say professional shoots, I was paid for these shoots. It was 2 weddings and a mid-budget level commercial, and I really love this camera. And the reason that I love it, and it's something that blows me away, is the colors in the camera and the LUTs that Fujifilm gives you with this camera. They're basically plug and play, and it's some of the best color that I've ever seen on any of my videos. And so for that reason, I'm willing to work around the battery issue, basically powering the camera only with this battery and then using the Sony batteries for the other accessories that I use. If you're a documentary filmmaker or somebody who needs like XLR inputs, or you don't want to deal with the overheating issues or the autofocus issues and you really need autofocus, this camera is probably not for you. But for me, this camera is a glorified B-roll beast that shoots 4K or 6.2K in open gate. It gives me 60 frames a second if I want it. And the colors are immaculate. And most of my work is commercial work or weddings. And so if I can get really good footage to put on top of my music, and then the VO comes after that, this works really good, I think. And like I said, I just love the color. I love how light the camera is after everything's rigged out. My Red Scarlet X, which I love that camera, the body itself, without a lens, without rails, without anything, just the brain is heavier than this whole setup. And just to show you a little bit of what I'm using on this camera, I have the Sigma 18-35, I have the Fringer adapter for EF, I have the Tilta Mirage matte box, I have a Viltrox V-mount battery, and then I have the Portkeys I have a Portkeys monitor on top. I can't remember. I'll put the link in the description for all of this stuff. And I'm using the Siriu. Man, why do they have to go so weird with all these names? I've got this rail system by them. Also, link will be in the description for that. I hope this video helps you guys out and it helps you make the decision whether this is a viable option for your professional work. I do have professional work that I do that this isn't a very good option, and that's why I do keep a lot of cameras around. I have my Red Scarlet X, my C200, the R6, the R that we're shooting on now, and I even have an EOS M Lite, which you probably don't even know what that is. Go look at my older videos and you'll find out what it is. It's a really cool camera. But thanks guys so much for watching this video. Sorry that I look like a crazy person. I had 2 kids up all night crying with earaches, and I just decided to come out here this morning and get this video done for you because it's really been weighing on my mind. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.